We are live on YouTube and do the cool transition intro. Welcome, Marc, to the show. It's very good to have you here. Where are you at right now?
Hi, Colin. I'm in Kenya here. Huh?
Oh, yeah, Kenya. What time is it over
Very
there?
beautiful. Very beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Sorry, you were
Live on
asking?
YouTube. Oh, sorry, one second. I have transition intro. Well, yes. So, yeah, what time is it over there?
Now it's in the evening here, 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Eh? Nice. Nice. So it's gonna get.
You are in the U.S. East Coast.
Yep, I'm in Atlanta right now, so it is 11 a.m. here. So that's why we're doing a little early show
Oh,
today.
cool. Well,
So yeah, usually I do
good
it.
morning. Eh?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah,
Welcome to the world.
yeah. Welcome to the world. Yeah, I've been usually stream at like 9 p.m. So in like 10 hours from now, but that's okay. I like to do morning shows sometimes. Remove the protection quota. What's up, everybody? What's up, Tao, Yannick, everybody? And so yeah. So yeah, we'll just back up, start from the beginning. When did you first get into Bitcoin?
I first came to Bitcoin in 2012. I followed it, the crash of 2011, via friends that talked to me about it, but I didn't believe in it. And then in 2012, it was starting to recover. It went from $30 to $3, and then it was back at $10 by the end of 2012. And then suddenly, thanks to a friend, it clicked with me. Like I said to him that it doesn't make sense, and because of this and that, and he came with good counter arguments, and that really clicked with me. And then I started investing around $13 in 2012, end of the year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're obviously a pretty high net worth individual. Did most of your net worth come from investing in Bitcoin?
Yes, because I was already full-time investing since 2009 that I decided to focus fully on that. But actually, in practice, already a few years before that also. But still did some odd jobs here and there. But in 2009, I really started to focus fully on this. But up until 2012, my returns were not good, and I couldn't live from it. But it was thanks to investing in Bitcoin that all changed, and I started to be able to make much better returns. Yes, my net worth is thanks to that, but yes, I would say thanks to crypto for the most part. Yes.
Gotcha. And so I usually get this request. We're supposed to high five, so we're supposed to high five right here. So give a high five. Yeah. Over to the side.
High five.
Over to the side. You gotta bring it over to the side. Yeah, there you go. All right.
Oh wait, like this.
Turn your hand to the side.
Oh, like this. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There we go. There's a high five.
High five, man. Yeah, and if I may ask, also, like, when did you join? Because I have really enjoyed your stance in during the whole debacle in Bitcoin Cash. That's when I took note of you, because I noticed that you were also really disappointed with the leadership of Bitcoin Cash really being serious about wanting to implement this dev tax. And I really was impressed that you had a very ideologically driven stance that I like very much. So when did you join?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course, my show's open, and you can ask any question you want, because it makes it easier on me when I have to answer questions rather than ask it. But yeah, I've been in Bitcoin since 2013. My big proof is that I bought something with Bitcoin. It was like a camera rig, like a handheld camera rig in like 2013 online, and I tweeted to my mom about it. So that's my big proof in 2013. So it's like, hey mom, look, I use Bitcoin. Wow. I use Bitcoin as money. Bitcoin is money is what I said back in 2013. So that's my proof. Just a little bit here and there. I was in college at the time. And so, yeah, and as far as being like ideologically driven, I think I've always kind of been like that, because, you know, it's money nobody controls. And yeah, I think that's the most important part, is being able to have your own money. And again, nobody can take it away or tell you what you can and can't do with it. So yeah, I mean, that's really the basis of everything. And then of course, I didn't really notice like much of like the politics of it and all until 2017 when I actually paid like $1 for a Bitcoin transaction, and I was like, wait, what the fuck's going on? And then you dive in and see the whole scaling debate, and you're like, wow, this is a bunch of crazy shit. And yeah, that's and then I started to kind of have a voice. I really started to pay attention after Bitcoin Cash happened, and kind of started speaking up, started doing videos, and yeah, that's kind of it. And then I obviously made the transition to live video because I hate editing. So here I can just say whatever and it's done. So
Yeah.
so yeah, and then
Yeah.
well,
So
yeah, go ahead.
where did you start? You started with a channel also then in 2017 or so, or 2018? What via YouTube, or what did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of always had my YouTube, just because I am a video guy by profession, I suppose. So, my first big video popular thing, really my biggest one still, was a lip dub is what it's called. It's basically a music video throughout my high school. At the time, it got like 100,000 some views, super popular for high school especially. And I gained a lot of my subscribers through that, and so it's totally not related to crypto at all. And then yeah, I made some videos. I guess my first actual crypto related video was I went to Tokyo, I think it was early 2018 for the Satoshi Vision conference. And that was before the whole like Craig Wright was Satoshi shit. Craig Wright Vision, right? That was before all that. And so obviously he stole that branding. But yeah, so I interviewed a bunch of people there about Bitcoin Cash in general and made like a recap video from Tokyo. And then that's kind of still being a larger part of this documentary I want to do about the scaling debate, basically. And I've always wanted to do something like this since I've taken note of it, just because it's like so under the radar, and you need to have this crazy combination of knowledge of Bitcoin history and technicals, and like to really tie it all together. So I went to Australia for that as well and did some videos for there. And so that's kind of my overall project, but it's currently on hold for funding and just because the world's closed right now too. So so yeah, that's kind of
cool.
spiel.
And did you also make good money with being so early in Bitcoin, or did you fuck that up?
I definitely made some money. I didn't have a lot of excess money to throw in at the time. Oh, nice cup. Like they should have stepped. I didn't have a lot of like excess money to throw in at the time, but I did definitely make percent returns a lot. So I mostly did buy camera stuff with it, my returns. So and then I would get returns through different video jobs and such. So crypto's definitely kept me up over the years. I can't complain at all. So I've definitely gotten wrecked a couple times, but I'm definitely in the positive. So
yeah, me too. Like, learned a lot. I made a lot of mistakes. I could be a lot richer today, considering all the opportunities that were presented in crypto and that I didn't take, and all the mistakes I made also. So I think we all share that, and it's crypto has the advantage of learning quickly lessons, because the cycles are very, very quick, the booms and busts. So every couple of years there are you have the chance to learn some big lessons.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so speaking of like early crypto, I just like Googled your name earlier, and I saw you were involved in this coin called NXT, which was like the first proof of stake coin or something like that.
Yes.
You want to kind of explain that a little bit?
Yeah, it was the first 100% proof of stake, because you already had Peercoin, but that was a mixture of proof of stake and proof of work. This was the first one, 100% proof of stake, and I invested in Bitcoin 2012, and then you had the bubble of 2013. It went up from $10 to $1,000, and but Bitcoin was still like 95+% of the market. But what you saw towards the end of 2013, towards $1,000, that when many new coins were launched, but the rhetoric was very negative within the Bitcoin community towards other coins. And I also actually in the beginning thought that was all bullshit and that Litecoin had no chance. But later on, I realized, like, actually, competition is good, and okay, Bitcoin has a super strong network effect, but then still, it's in the interest actually of society, that to have multiple coins and multiple choices. So I became much more open to other coins, and then but Litecoin didn't make sense to me, and Peercoin also not. I had many like just copy coins basically that didn't add much value. But then when I saw NXT, at first I also rejected it, but then later it really made sense to me because I saw the advantage of proof of stake versus proof of work. And yeah, that really convinced me. That was the underlying force. But also, it was the first coin to actually expand from a currency to a financial platform, and it was the first one to offer also assets. And I believe that was the next step after a decentralized currency, that you would have a decentralized exchanges and stocks and bonds that you could buy, and that people would be able to launch their own stocks and bonds at a much easier way, with much less legislation and much cheaper than in the traditional financial system. And that started to happen on XT. So I believe strongly in it, and I invested about half or so of my money in NXT, and then half still in Bitcoin. But then the bear market started of 2014, and turned out that I did really, my timing was very, very terrible, because NXT was already at the 3rd place in ranking, and that's when I did most of the investing. And well, that was the top position, because it only went down from there, and today it's nowhere to be seen anymore. You have to really, you need the binoculars to find it. But actually, what happened during that the bear market was that a lot changed in the community. First of all, the founder left via the back door, and left the project over to someone else. But they really start to make the wrong decisions. They didn't believe in the decentralized asset exchange, and instead they wanted to launch an ICO to create more funding, and thereby diluting all existing NXT coin holders. And I thought it was absolutely the wrong decision. I totally disagreed with that, and they did want ahead with it, and they basically split the project into 2 coins, NXT and Ardor. And later on, well, we've seen the results today. It was indeed the wrong decision, because NXT lost all its. Once upon a time, it was actually a challenger to Bitcoin and Ethereum, but that's long gone. So they really failed. They took strategically really the wrong decisions. 100% proof of stake. They had actually they were first to market with a decentralized exchange. Ethereum was still just a story. They should have really focused on that and attracted as many asset launchers as possible, and then they could have become actually the Ethereum. And also, they should have embraced 100% proof of stake by giving more power to the stakeholders, to the coin holders, and not only allowing them to decide which transactions are valid, but go one step further and also let them vote on software improvements. If there are important decisions to be made, it should be made by the coin holders, not by the lead developers in isolation. But they all failed to do that. So yeah, I ended up selling my stash and invested in other coins later on during the next bull market of 2015, 2016.
Gotcha. Nice. I do see we have a question from Mike about the whole funding thing. We're gonna get to that, but first, this is your most popular video. It has I'm in the way, but it has 600,000 views, and you have a Lamborghini. Did you buy that from your Bitcoin gains?
Yes, I did.
Ah, good.
I think they're dropping off.
Bass drum.
Get out.
So the title is, you can't see it, Lamborghini engine suddenly blows up.
Oh, look guys,
Yes.
it's a Lamborghini that's on the rescue car. Sadly, something broke down on my beautiful Lambo. It was an explosion. It almost catched on fire. but luckily it only was a big oil drain, and the fire department already.
So yeah, your Lamborghini kind of blew up.
Yeah, it did. The engine. I ended up having to replace the whole engine, costing me $50,000.
Wow. Wow.
Crazy.
That's funny. And then just the beginning of this. So this is when Bitcoin hit $1,000, about to. And so this first part's funny.
Party people! Hi, this is a video live seeing the Bitcoin price going
I like the music.
near $1,000. It breached already $1,000 at Mt. Gox.
So you've been around for a little bit. So yeah, you've been making videos for a long time. So very cool stuff. So party people, we hit 1,000. That was great. I love that. So yeah, to the spice, if lack of a better word. So yes. So you obviously, if you didn't know, Marc, there was a bunch of flip starters, fundraisers for different Bitcoin Cash node implementations, and Bitcoin Cash node was one, and Marc donated 150 BCH out of about 1,000 needed, and Knunth was another one, and you donated a majority of this one, about 350, 360, and then Bitcoin Verde was another 190. So that's a lot of money. And so backing up a little bit from that, so Flip Starter and all these different node implementations kind of were direct, I wouldn't say complete direct, but kind of in response to the infrastructure funding plan about the miners getting charged 5%, and that's going to go to a developer fund. And a lot of people didn't like this, you and myself included. And this was your first article about this, about risk for Bitcoin Cash going up. So we'll continue back up. So when you first saw the infrastructure funding plan, what were your thoughts? With the 12.5%, the Hypo's first article about it, what were your immediate thoughts?
My first immediate thoughts was, well, okay, interesting, but I have to study this more. So I wasn't rejecting it yet, because I could see that, yeah, this is related to Dash and Zcash. They do something similar. They take a piece of the inflation that goes not only to mining, but also to development and marketing. So I put it in that, I look. Yeah, so I wasn't
Marc,
rejecting
if you
it
can
yet.
consider using violence to
Sorry,
help me shame
I
the
thought I
AFP.
turned the
Teamwork.
the text-to-speech off. Sorry, back up a little bit. A whole bunch of shit just came in, distracted me. So let me do this.
Yeah, so I didn't reject it yet. For me, it was like, okay, that's interesting, but I need to study this more first to have like an opinion. But it could be interesting. That was my first response, because I thought still at that point that actually Dash and Zcash had done a good move by diverting a piece of the inflation towards not only mining and securing the coin, but also towards paying for development and for marketing. So I was still of the opinion then that actually that's a good business model. And so I didn't reject it out of hand yet. No.
So what kind of change? I mean, I was honestly the same way. I was like, yeah, this could work. My only concern at the very beginning was that like weird Hong Kong corporation they had. That was my only concern at the very beginning, and then I kind of kept going. But yeah, what changed for you after a while?
Well, actually, it was quite quick, because I immediately started thinking about it, and it was only like a few days later already that I really realized like this is totally wrong, and this would be a disaster for Bitcoin Cash. It's over and out if this would be pushed through. Yeah, just thinking about it, like in practice, what would happen is that, okay, so a piece of the inflation goes to basically Amory and his friends. That's how it was set up. And that was a really bad idea, because I already had a bad impression from Amory. People don't know that, but I've been donating very big before also to Amory, especially because he'd been bitching about funding for years. And so I was funding very hard, giving him a lots of money. as well as his friend David Allen that had set up a Bitcoin Cash Foundation. But the way they had responded to that was very disappointing to me. They really didn't even say thank you. And to me, that's like, can't get much worse than that. Like, when you give lots of money to someone and they don't even say thank you, I know enough. I know enough. I know I made a big mistake. But okay, that happens sometimes. But then later, so when I saw his argumentation for the IFP, that didn't connect with me at all. He was always saying that voluntary donations don't work, but my experience with him was that of course it won't work. If you can't even say thank you when you receive hundreds of dollars, then of course it won't work. Like, it doesn't work that way. Voluntary donations need to be embraced by, first of all, being grateful to people that give you money to support your case. But much more than that, you need to actually organize fundraisers like they do in the traditional world. You need to do, what do? They do all kind of events to raise money. You need to do that. So I thought that was not truthful of him, that he said that. Yeah, so that's how it started for me. That yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So somebody asked if you were also the anonymous donor of 500 BCH to BU.
Yes, I was. Yes.
Oh, there you go. Yes, he was.
Yes.
So I don't think it is a huge secret that they did not take that money. The ABC donated money. I think I know what they're referring to. They wanted to do like an AML KYC thing. Is that somebody said that ABC did not take the money you gave them? Is that?
Oh, yeah. So this was also how I discovered Amaury. Like, they didn't, because for me Amaury was a hero also. Like, I thought it was true that he actually was the main responsible for launching Bitcoin Cash, because before Bitcoin Cash was launched, I was already like very frustrated with what's happening in Bitcoin Core, and I didn't understand why they were not forking. What was Roger Ver doing, wasting his time by trying to talk with people that are clearly destructive and it won't work? They need to fork as quickly as possible away from Bitcoin Core. That was my opinion already early 2017. Actually, I made a video that I sold all my Bitcoin for other coins in January of 2017, before it lost lots of market share, because I could see the writing on the wall that it just would fail Bitcoin. But why was Roger Ver continuing to embrace this project and promote it and to invest all his money in it when it would clearly fail? So I didn't believe. I believed that they had already succeeded in taking over Bitcoin, and so the only way out was to fork away from it. But it didn't happen, and then suddenly, in the middle of August, in August 2017, suddenly it happened. And it looked like Amaury Séchet was the driving force behind it. So from the start, I saw him as a hero and basically a savior of the Bitcoin project, as a smart guy. And also his early interviews, he was very anarcho-capitalistic and very voluntaristic, the ideas that he was sharing. So I thought he was a great guy. And so that's why I also donated lots of money to him, because I could understand his frustration. If he doesn't get much money, of course he needs to be paid also. But the way he responded to that donation, really, like, I discovered a lot of new things. Like, okay, he didn't say thank you. So I approached, I tried to contact him, like, via the YouTube channel and via different other channels, like, hey, did you get the donation? Like, but no response. So, but I started to become more public after a couple of months. I really, like, trying to bitch about it, like, and then he responded, and then he came in contact with me on Telegram and said, hey, okay, I sent you a frustration. First of all, thank you so much. But yeah, can you please not create conflict around this, because there is already conflict within Bitcoin Cash and I don't want to make things worse. So I'm like, okay. So yeah. So the problem, he says to me, with your donation is that Roger Ver fucked up, and we asked him to do AML and KYC. No, actually, we asked them to, like, just do it for us, but then he did it for all the other teams that are not support, not that was I didn't support that, and also like he's just sent the money over, and we don't know where it's coming from, so I can't use it. And I'm like, okay, but I'm a big donor. I can give you a paper writing that I gave you the big amount, and then you'll be good. Then you can use the money. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. And that was it. And I never heard from him again. So but this was very weird for me, because why didn't he come back to me like a week later or 2 weeks later or a month later from, hey, Mark, could you sign me that KYC paper because or AML paper because I really want to start using the money? No, he never needed that. So that showed to me that he was making up stories. Like, it wasn't about the AML. Otherwise, he would have wanted me the paper from me. Huh? It wasn't about that. That was just a made-up story, an excuse that he came up with to justify his behavior. Huh? And so then I started to think, like, so what's going on here? Like, why is he making up stories? Like, why is he lying about things? Huh? What's happening here? And I started to connect the dots. Like, he was just sabotaging. Huh? He was sabotaging. He was just being a difficult guy. Huh? What he was doing there was actually trying to prove that voluntary donations don't work. That was the mission he was on. Huh? And indeed, he was very successful in that. Huh? Because the next voluntary donation that just happened, he got 0. Huh? And indeed, that's what you get when you treat people like that. Huh? So yeah, I think he already had made up his mind then, and this was in the middle of last year in 2019, in August 2019. I think he already had changed strategy, and he had already made up his mind that he wanted to implement a business model in Bitcoin Cash that would pay him, and not voluntary, but forced. Huh? And that was the mission he was on, and that's why he was acting like that. That's why he was actually, he didn't like the campaign, the voluntary donation. That's why he didn't say thank you when he got $100,000 from the community. Huh? Not even a thank you on his Twitter or on the YouTube. You had every month these dev meetings. It was not even mentioned. And David Allen was actually the organizer of those monthly dev meetings. He also got a shitload of money. He also didn't even mention it. Like, it was a non-event. It was of no importance. Huh? Like, I was just shocked to see that. And I think the explanation why that happened was that both of them were already on a mission to implement the business model into Bitcoin Cash. And so they didn't care about those donations, and it had little meaning for them. Huh? They were for in this for a much bigger price than that. Huh? Because indeed 100,000 is of course nothing when you succeed in diverting 5% of the inflation to your development team. Then 100,000 is indeed nothing. Huh? You're gonna get millions per month then. Huh?
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's very all extremely interesting. So that's thank you for that background info on all that. So yeah. So one point of controversy that I wanted to talk about is you had donated to BCHD and their flip starter, and it was a good amount again, and then you withdrew it from Flipstarter, because Flipstarter, how it works is that you can pledge money to a campaign, and it never leaves your wallet, your control, until it's all funded. And so therefore you can cancel the money cancel your pledge at any point. And so what happened was you canceled your pledge for BCHD because Chris Passia made some positive remarks about about the IFP, and from my perspective, it seemed kind of neutral. It seemed kind of like, well, the miners are going to decide. And so this article itself was kind of one of the controversial points of it, because Chris tweeted that he, let me see, let's go to this Reddit thread with all the spice in it. So, come on, that just froze on me. Okay, and so, yeah, so Chris said, this type of cancer makes you just want to walk away and let these assholes have their way. And they linked to this article by this guy. And honestly, from my perspective, this article seems like a little trolly. And I don't think this article is completely honest. I think it kind of goes over the top a little bit. But it says, lazy and Intel developers who are not providing value in the free market are running low on cash. They beg for people to give them money and say it's necessary improvements. Heroes like Roger Ver give them generous amounts of money, but their greed is never satisfied. They're too. This is where it loses me. They're too lazy to get a job. They instead decide to force the mining reward to fund their inferior project and prodigal lifestyles. And it says, ABC, you can't remove the 25 change transaction limit. It did go to 50. And then bottom line, if people won't voluntarily fund your development project, then the free market has decided that your project should die. And so you used this tweet kind of as, I guess you could say, justification for withdrawing your pledge. And so the other person in BCHD was Josh Ethelthorpe, who was against the IFP, and this is your comment, of course. And so, yeah, you want to just kind of walk me through your thought process with all this?
Yeah, so I asked the organizer of Flip Starters, the team behind BCH, and also like which team supported the IFP, the DevTax, because I don't remember anymore. But I don't want to donate to team that supported that, and they said nobody from that is on Flipstarter is for it. So okay, I went ahead and I also donated to BCHD, but then later, a couple of days later, it was on my mind. Did some research, or I stumbled upon it and discovered I was Chris Pacchia that I had arguments with at the time about the IFP, and he is indeed BC, because I knew there was one project, but then only I saw like, okay, that was this guy from BCHC, and so I withdraw my pledge because I don't want to support him. And so the reason why is indeed because he supported the IFP DevTax. And what you quote there is indeed one of his tweets that he made during his fight for the IFP. He indeed was actively disapproving of criticasters to the IFP, to the DevTax. And indeed, the article that you just showed was one of the articles that I liked and that I also rewarded on the read.cash with generous tips, because I think there's actually lots of truth in that, even though it's of course very confrontational and hurtful, and it doesn't it's also name calling and accusive, but I think it's true. I think actually Chris Pacchia as well as Maurice Sechet are driven, are not very productive people, and don't create much value. And that's not only the case in Bitcoin Cash, it's also the case in the other projects they are involved in. In the case of Chris Pacchia, he's been working for Open Bazaar for years, and this project is a failure as far as I know. It has raised tons of money from Bitcoin investors, probably, who wanted to make Bitcoin a success. And it's one of those projects that has like eaten lots of Bitcoin basically, and costed Bitcoin investors lots of missed opportunity. And what have they created? Well, nothing that has succeeded in the market. And I believe Chris Pacchia is probably is partly responsible for that, since he's is he the lead dev? I don't know the lead, but he's been working years for it, got paid for it. And if I see the way he talks about that project, the way he talks about the investors, it's very, I can feel that he has very little regard for them. Like, yeah, I read a conversation where he was talking about Bazaar, and somebody asked, so how do you guys get paid? And he's saying, just by seed money, by investments. Okay, okay. I don't remember the exact conversation, but it looked like he really didn't care much that the investors were losing tons of money. But he was concerned that he would lose his job quite soon because the money was running out after years of no success. Huh? So he seemed to care much more about his job coming to an end there than about the investors losing money and Open Bazaar failing. Huh? That was my impression of that conversation. But yeah, actually, I would still have given him money if it was just that, because I like people that work for Bitcoin Cash, even if they have not proven yet to be productive. Yes, I gave to several projects that have, in my opinion, not proven to be productive, but I hope they will. But in the case of Chris Pacquiao, actively supporting the IFP and the DevTax is not actually being productive. In my opinion, it's actually being destructive. Huh? So there's a difference between someone who is creating little value and someone who's actually destroying value. There's a big difference there for me. And okay, we can all be wrong. And actually, in the beginning, I wasn't sure also myself, IFP, and many people have supported it that later canceled it. So, I mean, we all commit mistakes. But in the case of Chris Pacquiao, actually, he never withdrew his support for the IFP. And the arguments he gives in his defense are weak arguments. He says, for example, yeah, but I never implemented it in BCHD, so I didn't support it. That's not true. He didn't need to implement it in BCHD for the IFP to be a success. It was sufficient for it to be implemented in the lead implementation. And that way, could be pushed through. It didn't need to be implemented BCHG. But what Chris Pacquiao did need to offer to Maurice Sechet for it to succeed was his moral support. Huh? That was absolutely required, huh? Because, well, there was little of that available. And the more as time went on, the fewer the amount of supporting voices was in the community. But Chris Pacquiao never took a step down and never said, like, actually, guys, you know, the first article that I posted there, actually, I changed my opinion on certain points. No, he never withdrew his support from it. And the arguments that he used in his article on Read.cash in support of the IFP and DevTax is full of false arguments. So it was very easy for him to like look at his article again and look at the points that are actually not true. He actually just repeats everything Maurice says in favor of the DevTax. For example, that development on Bitcoin Cash is slow, and that it is actually in trouble due to a lack of funding, and that if there is no funding, it will go down the drain. Like that's the rhetoric that was used. He totally goes with that, and that's actually not true. And also, it's not true because actually, Bitcoin Cash has been very productive. Despite Maurice Sechet bitching about a lack of funding, we are one of the few coins actually that has several development teams and has created innovations during a strong bear market 2018 and 2019, such as Cash Shuffle and SLP tokens. And so actually the productivity is a lot higher on Bitcoin Cash than many other coins. And then I'm talking even about Dash and Zcash. These are coins that have, as they call it, a self-funding business model. But if you look at the productivity, actually, it's much lower than what's happening in Bitcoin Cash. Actually, it's failing there to be like the productivity is much lower. So it's like hard evidence that there is no problem in Bitcoin Cash here with the funding, because there is much higher productivity. And if you're going to change funding, certainly don't change it to a model that already has proven to fail. But I did want to say one more thing about Chris Pacquiao, but it slipped my mind.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. As far as like productivity, I've met Chris and Omri in real life, and I think they're both good people. I guess it's hard for me to quantify productive in a sense. I guess Open Bazaar. I've looked through it. I can't say I've ordered anything, but yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to quantify. But yeah, I mean, I guess your opinion's your opinion. And I did have this question. So BCHN was funded thanks in part to Marc's large donation. Chris Pacquiao and BCHD were funded without Marc's help. So BCHD did actually continue to complete their funding goal. BCH ABC remains unfunded. Why does Mark think the funders disagreed with Mark on BCHD? So, do you think? Yeah, I guess there's the question. Why do you think the funders disagreed with you on BCHD?
Yeah, I'm happy they did actually, because like my opinion is not wise to fund BCHD, because your funding goes to Chris Pastia mainly. He has a colleague that I actually do support, but he's not the leader. The leader is Chris Pastia, so it will be going to him mainly, and I think it's a mistake because the toxicity that Chris Pastia has brought to Bitcoin Cash by supporting Maurice Sechet in all crucial matters has really has costed Bitcoin Cash a lot. And this kind of character, personality does not change. Chris Pastia is not the kind of person like Maurice Sechet who looks inwards and will like come back to you and say like, hey, I'm sorry, man, I was wrong there. Like this is actually what you need for a person to like improve over time. I have not noticed that with these two. And the problem is that it's like having a toxic girlfriend. Like, yeah, of course it can be good. If you had such a big fight recently, yes, you will be like a very good little girl. But how long will it last? A couple of weeks, and then she'll create drama again, or do her task poorly again, or be passive aggressive again, and it's just a very bad idea to continue to be in such a relationship. But it's the same when you have a toxic developer in your team, or a toxic marketeer who is creating more trouble than value they create. It's a very bad idea. So by funding Chris Pastia, I believe that we continue to keep him in Bitcoin Cash, of course, and he will continue to create trouble, more trouble than value. So I think it's a mistake to fund him. But I'm super happy that it happened, because it proves that Bitcoin Cash is decentralized, and people don't give a damn about my opinion, and they vote with their own money, and that's how it should be. That's how the best will. Because I could be wrong. I mean, I hope I'm proven wrong, and BCHD ends up creating lots of value. That would be amazing, and I will be happy then to say that I'm sorry, and I will thank the guys that made it happen by donating to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you said that. So, what do you say to people who say that you gamed the funding mechanism to make a political statement with scrap money? So, like, what do you respond to when people say you were just playing politics?
Yeah, investing is always politics. Like politics, you can't. Yes. That's normal. When you vote with your money, you're playing politics.
Yeah,
I'm part of it.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. And I mean, I noticed a lot of people that were very vocal, say against you taking away your money. They don't donate any money themselves, right? And it seems very hypocritical to criticize what people do with their own money when there's none of their own money being put forward themselves. So
yeah, it's interesting indeed. Like and you see that very good with the Bitcoin ABC fundraiser. I believe it's so clear that they are really dishonest. That's how Bitcoin ABC, Maurice Sechet, claims to have received millions of funding outside of this funding system. Suddenly, that came out of nowhere. Suddenly, he received millions. And that was after I had launched also a fundraiser on Flipstarter, but no money came in, of course. And then suddenly they had received already millions from who knows who, I don't know who. And so that way it looks like they are not a total failure in raising funding. They're still relevant. But I think what really happened here is that they didn't get anything. They didn't get the millions, and we will probably discover that by them probably taking a big step back because they have no funding anymore, Bitcoin ABC, and they failed to get funding via inflation. But we will see that. If they truly got millions, then probably they will hang around. But if they didn't, they probably will suddenly come up with a story why they take a step back, which would be a great thing for Bitcoin Cash, I think.
So shifting gears a little bit here. So it's funny. I actually saw this from Romano. he said the Digibyte founder steps down. Tate's announcement. This was about a week ago, I think. It says Tate's announcement comes shortly after Digibyte rallied 900% in roughly 6 weeks, and he said Jared this summer be like. And I when I first saw this, I didn't realize it was you, and I was like, wait a minute.
Hey guys.
Sorry, you said. Oh yeah.
Are you also sipping cocktails on a beautiful beach with a beautiful girl? Hi. She is a baby. So, I hope you guys are also as happy as I am. Because I'm very, very happy. It's more...
That's funny. Beautiful girl on beautiful beach. I thought that was funny because I saw you tweet and I was like, wait a minute, that is you. And then another off-topic thing. You have, how do I describe this? An interesting perspective on women, I suppose it should say. Yes. So somebody asked, what do you consider risky that other people don't? You say cash, bonds, one child, and one girl. And so this comment, I was like, oh boy, I gotta ask him about this. And so he said, how is family risky? And you said, agreed. Therefore, having only one child makes for a risky approach. If your only child dies unexpectedly for 10 or 20 years, now too late to make more. As far as the girls' wives, having only one, also risky as relationship may end after 5 years and now have to start from zero again. So,
yes.
Is one woman risky?
Yeah. I started with a polygamous relationships 5 years ago or so, and I really love it. This is really for me heaven. I started just during dating when I discovered like actually you can date different girls at the same time, and actually they don't take offense to that. You just have to be a little bit discreet, but actually that's possible. And I'm like, okay, let's get this started. And so I was seeing on Monday this one, and then on Friday that one, and I was like, wow, this is heaven. I love this. Why would I drop this if I start with a long-term relationship? I want to continue this, you know. And so I did, and I love it. But it's really disapproved of in the West. I didn't know that was possible, and it's actually illegal in many countries. But I think that it makes lots of sense. Yeah, I mean, and actually I do think it happens in the West often also, but because it's illegal, there's a lot of well, the problem with making it illegal is that you force much a relationship to end quicker. Like what happens in the West is successful men, what they usually do, they have 5 to 10 years of marriage, and then they make some children, and then they divorce, and then they start with a younger lady and start another family for another 10 years. And then if they are very successful, they do that 3 times. And that's for the rock stars then. But the problem with this is that you have to abandon your first family, and that's of course a pity. Of course, the children are older already then, but you can also just do that at the same time. You don't have to abandon them, but of course, the problem is because the culture really disapproves of it, and also many ladies really don't want such a relationship where there are other girls or other wives also. They really don't want that. If only for the social disapproval of their family and friends, who really disapprove of that. But yeah, I think actually it's a very good solution, because in reality, it's true that you could say, but what about all the other men? They don't have wives or girls then, if you have multiple, but that's not really the case, because many men actually don't even want to procreate, don't even want a relationship. Many other men die before they can actually do such a thing, procreate and have a relationship. So actually, there is there are more women available, and yeah. So yeah, I like it.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, and one other one was like, it's very important for a woman to be able to cook for you, right? If she wants to stay home. I said, of course, why not, right? My wife's a great cook. My wife's a great cook.
Yeah. This is something I didn't learn myself, because I was raised in Belgium, Europe, and my mom actually never cooked and was never home, and she became a lawyer, and she was actually almost never home. I was raised by nannies, and and I think I was really not good. I was really wrong, because my father was also a workaholic, and so I really missed warm love and a warm house, and 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 I think it's super important for a child to have that. And well, you can offer it as a father also, but if you have a professional career going, it takes so much time and dedication to become successful. And I don't think actually it's possible to do both the spending lots of time with your child and giving it lots of attention and love, and as well as having a very successful professional career. I don't think that's possible. So you need a very good cooperation, and so and for me, since I am a very successful, I have a very successful professional career, but I also love my work, and I work a lot. I really need to find a partner that actually is not ambitious professionally and really wants to make sure you have a warm home and wants to spend lots of time with the children. That's super important for me. And the problem is actually that even here in Africa and Kenya, the ideals are totally changing. Like all these young girls, they get the ideals that actually, no, that's not a good idea to dedicate yourself to your man and your family. What you should do is you should study 5 years and then you should get a job so that you're independent and so that you can't are not dependent on a man. But actually, that's really the wrong choice, because I'm not interested in a girl that wants to study for 5 years and then wants to do a 9-to-5 job. Really not. How does that benefit me? That doesn't benefit me at all. And it doesn't benefit my children also, because I make more than enough money to pay for all the bills. She doesn't add any value by go studying books and by bringing in whatever $1,000 a month. That doesn't add any value, and all the time that she's gone is value taken away from me and from our children.
Yeah. So you have multiple children?
Yeah, I have 2 girlfriends and each one baby, and I have and a second baby coming with 1 girl.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Colin.
Congratulations. Very interesting.
And how's that going for you, if you want to share?
Good. I just got married a couple months ago, so just one.
Congratulations.
Just one woman for me, so I'll stay clear of my past for now.
Okay. Well, congrats, man. Congrats.
Thank you. And so, insight into women. I did have one more question going back to the whole funding thing. You say funding via inflation. Do you want to kind of explain that a little bit more?
Yes. One moment. I'm going to put some more light on here.
Yeah, no problem.
Maybe that will be better. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So, by the way, this is my beautiful girl that's pregnant. We have a baby coming.
Hello.
Can you see her?
Oh yeah, nice. Big belly.
So, So funding via inflation is on first impression a good idea because it makes us for a steady income stream, and security is also done that way in the case of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, and so on first impression makes sense. Join, look, she wants to join, but she cannot join. No babies allowed here. No babies allowed. Sorry. Sorry. But
I guess
it's a good idea, and many currencies do it. Sorry.
So I guess my question is like, how is it inflation? Because there's no new coins being mined; it's just being diverted, right?
Yes, that's the case. But the source is it being diverted. But it's more coins that are created, and so they get a piece of the more coins that are created. So if you create more coins, that is, you could call that inflation, or you can call that you inflate the supply.
Well,
but that's not a bad thing, because, for example, sorry,
I don't think there wasn't being more coins mined with IFP, just the same ones diverted.
Yeah, that's true. The inflation was not increased for Bitcoin Cash with the IFP, but by diverting a piece, you end up. How are they paid? They are paid by inflation. Yes, the inflation was not increased. It was just a piece taken away from security, but they are paid by inflating the amount of coins in circulation. That's their source of revenue. And yes, the inflation is not increased, but by doing it this way, you do take away from security.
Yeah.
You take a piece that normally would go to financing security, now goes to financing developers. So that's the first disadvantage, that you lower security. But you could certainly say that, okay, that's not a problem, because the security of Bitcoin Cash is already very weak. So if you make it a little bit more weak, that's not a big loss. That's true. That's also not my main objection. My main objection is that it's just you lose so much things that are not seen. If you do this, then suddenly Bitcoin ABC, Amarche, and some of his friends would suddenly get paid from the inflation. That would cause an immediate collapse of voluntary donations, not only by people that give money to development teams, but most importantly, it would totally collapse the amount of voluntary donations in kind, because people don't actually donate much via money gifts. That's actually quite low. But what happens a lot in Bitcoin Cash is that people donate a lot of their time towards marketing and towards development themselves. So most developers are self-financed. They work hard on Bitcoin Cash because they have some coins, they own themselves, or they believe in the ideals of the project, and so they donate a lot of their time to spread the word, or to build some code, some value for it, and that would really collapse the moment you start to pay certain people from the inflation, and that would be a tremendous loss for Bitcoin Cash. So that would be my biggest objection to implementing this.
So I guess are you defining inflation as the inflation that's already in the coin? It's not introducing new inflation? Is that kind of what you're referring to?
Yes, I'm talking about the existing inflation, yes.
Okay. That's kind of where I think the mix-up was going in my head. So that makes sense. Okay. Funding via the... Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Gotcha. Yeah, okay. Do we have any more questions in this chat? We have a pretty active chats going on. You're a controversial guy, Mark. You're a controversial guy. Zcash is IFP properly. Well, I can't BCH do it.
Sorry?
Well, you're a controversial guy.
Is that so? Do you notice that in the chat?
Yeah. It seems the people who like the IFP don't like you. So that seems to be the general trend.
Yes.
So Zcash does IFP properly. Why can't BCH do it? Because Zcash has always been like that. BCH is Bitcoin. So yeah, it seems if the IFP would be implemented, it'd just be changing the whole incentive structure, right? Just completely changing it. So that's why I'm against it. It's just, it introduces a whole new dynamic. And so, but the best funding solution is just a big old pump that floats everybody's boat. I have to agree with that one. I feel like we're taking as many
Yeah.
And we do have people that do support you though, so that's good as well. So yeah, I guess you have any more questions for me?
So how do you feel about Bitcoin Cash these days? And so it looks like the IFP has failed. Huh? How do you see Bitcoin Cash improving? And what do you feel is really needed for Bitcoin Cash to become a success?
Yeah, so I feel pretty great about Bitcoin Cash actually now. I think the multiple node teams were needed for a long time. I mean, there's always been BU who a lot of people don't think does too much. I think they do research. I don't think they. Anyways, that's a whole nother discussion. But all these new development teams is great. It's you don't see it in other coins. Like, I think you said this before, but it's just very completely. I don't know. It's just bullish. You have all these different people working on it, and my only concern is that we will fork in November. That's my only concern. And over what, I don't know. Maybe it's going to be the 6-month hard fork schedule. I know there's huge disagreement on that. Maybe it's going to be Avalanche. Who knows? And so I think going forward, it's just a matter of completely working together, right? And making sure we don't split into more coins. But I feel great about Bitcoin Cash now. When the IFP drama was going down, I did not, especially before Bitcoin Cash node was announced. But when the Bitcoin Cash node was announced, it was awesome and great, and a lot of people I know are working on that, and it's great. So yeah, I think Bitcoin Cash looks great. Price wise, who the fuck knows? Because I think Tether is just pumping everything, but that's a whole nother discussion. Here's a question for you, Mark. How do you think Bitcoin Cash can attract new use cases and increase investor confidence?
I want to say something about that also.
Yeah.
I just want to do a shout out that if you have a project in mind that would create a use case for Bitcoin Cash, something you want to build on top of Bitcoin Cash, where you can use Bitcoin Cash, and you need funding, reach out. Do a flip starter is always what I ask to people, because that gives me also an impression what does the community think about your project, before I also donate money myself. But I think we need much more of that. We really need much more of that, because I think that Bitcoin Cash, I use it to pay people and to save money, and I use it on Purse.io, but the amount of use case is very low still, and think that the approach to try to see it being used, merchants, brick and mortar stores, has failed, and we should really shift focus, because it's just not competitive enough to really break through there. We should really build things on top of cryptocurrencies that are only with cryptocurrencies, such as smart contracts, but you have so many things you can do with it. But it really requires not only great developers, but also great entrepreneurs. And to have a combination of people that are good at coding and good at entrepreneurship is very rare. I believe that in Bitcoin Cash, there's a huge opportunity to do that, because, for example, you have funding available from people like me and even many other people that we've seen recently really funded big to those projects. And we are really incentivized to fund your project, because if we don't, our coin goes to shit and we lose all our value. So we really need your project to be that really creates utility and value for Bitcoin Cash. So if you have any ideas, go for it and do it. And even though there's a strong bear market in crypto, I want to invest a lot more in project, because I have to, because if I don't, it will be a failure. So yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, hopefully I'll get a flip starter for my documentary going soon. I've already interviewed lots of people in Bitcoin Cash. I just need to get the last oomph of it. So I will definitely let you know when that's released. But I'm kind of waiting for the world to open up again, because I need to do some traveling. So
that's cool, Colin.
Yeah. So
that's cool, and I'm also happy to donate to that.
Wonderful.
And also, I just wanted to also say that I also feel super positive about Bitcoin Cash. I was also very disappointed with the IFP, but not the IFP or the DevTax, but seeing how many supported that. That was a total shocker for me. That Roger Ver supported that in the beginning, and Jihan Wu, who are also big heroes of mine. But then Roger very quickly came back from it, so he's still like a hero of mine. But Jihan Wu never came back from it, and it's really disappointing me big time. Like, where is he? It's just like I don't see any value coming from him towards the world of Bitcoin Cash. So that's the pity, and Mauricio said totally fell off his throne. So we really need much more new heroes in Bitcoin Cash. People that really create clear value and attract new people and new adoption of Bitcoin Cash is really what we need. Of course, Roger Ver, I'm super happy, is still going hard, and I think he offers great value, and I'm so happy he's there. But we need much more than him. And but what really made me very positive about Bitcoin Cash was that during the whole debacle of the IFP and the DevTax, that the community really spoke out, and suddenly you had all these people that you never hear from suddenly speak out strongly against this, and it showed that actually the Bitcoin Cash investors and users, which is the same, investors are also users in Bitcoin Cash, that they really like are ideologically driven, and I think that's the greatest strength of Bitcoin Cash, because on the leading figures you clearly can't count, because if they change their mind, they can just run the project into the ground with one software upgrade, basically. So you really need to have a very broadly shared vision on what is sound money, and if everybody that tries to attack that and destroy that needs to be like rejected their proposals, and that's very difficult, because it's like you have a beautiful park in the middle of the city. It's very difficult to keep that a very beautiful park. There are all kinds of actors that want to exploit the park and use it and rent seek it and it's very difficult. So, but if you have really a strong community, then you can do that, and that's what's happening here, and that really gives me lots of confidence to continue to invest strong in it. Thanks to the community. So that also makes me very positive.
Yeah, I would. Bitcoin Cash feels like the last idealistic coin, right? It's like peer-to-peer cash for the world. Like that's what Bitcoin Cash stands for, and to me, it's the last bastion of hope for that, right? It seems everything else that's come out is just, I don't know, a money grab, and so here's hoping we can. Without the ideals of peer-to-peer cash for the world, Bitcoin Cash is nothing. So that's how I look at it. So,
yeah, that's true. And you can't buy that. It's not something you can buy, but you can destroy it very easily. But we preserve it with Bitcoin Cash. So, and that's a great accomplishment.
Yes, definitely is. So I think we'll wrap it up here. Is there any other last words you would like to share?
No, thanks so much, Colin.
Yeah, thank you
for the interview, and just for you being part of the community, because people like you, and also imaginary username at the time, and also what's his name? I forgot it. But there are some people in Bitcoin Cash that really inspired me a lot, because of course I also. Like, for example, what happened, all the conflict even before the DevTax that was happening between Mauricio and Roger Ver, like I didn't know how to make up my mind who's right, who's wrong, because I'm not a coder, so I don't understand all the coding slang. I don't know if these coders are productive or not, and all these proposals, if that makes sense. So I form my opinion based on also what other people say about it, and it's thanks to you. And some other people that I also got a clearer vision on what's the right way forward. So thanks so much for everything you do for Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Appreciate it so much. All right. Well, it looks like you got a mother and some babies to go hang out with.
Yeah. Okay. So have a great day, Colin. Thanks so much for the interview.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good night, Mark.
Bye.
Bye now. Okay, that was Mark. That was Mark, everybody. And so I am going to be wrapping up on YouTube here. I am going to head over to Twitch, though, and hang out for a little bit more. Do a little after show on Twitch. So come hang out on Twitch. Put the link in the chat. It's also in the description. I will be there. So thank you, everybody, for watching on YouTube. See you on Twitch.